All right, welcome to the show, Crowfox. How are you today?
Doing very well, thank you. How are you?
I am doing great now that I've got you on the show and I'm not on mute. So I like to run things a little casual on this show. So it's all good, right? Whatever.
Yes.
Um, but I do want to introduce my esteemed guest, Crowfox Kimmy for short, for her last name, because it's a long last name. Um, and so we just call her Crowfox Kimmy. She is the founder of Rocky Mountain Metaphysics, which has been around for a while and it's growing and growing now. And she's got quite a story to tell. So without further ado, welcome Crowfox, and gosh, so happy to have you on today.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here. I'm excited.
Yay! So tell me a little bit about yourself and about the formation of Rocky Mountain Metaphysics.
Well, I've been guided to metaphysics kind of against my will ever since I was a little kid. I have had all kinds of unusual experiences, and I thought I was the only one for a very long time. And I came across a book, Hands of Light by Barbara Ann Brennan, and I realized I wasn't the only one, and that there was an entire community of people in the world who have had unusual and unique experiences, all related to metaphysics. And my journey took me into the realm of being connected to everything. And it's been my passion. Metaphysics became my passion. And so I had a lot of friends asking where they could find metaphysical products. And before the internet, it was hard to find them. Now, with the internet, they're easy to find, but they're kind of cookie cutter. You know, you're going to find tarot cards, you know what books you're going to find, all that stuff. So I wanted to be a little unique. Plus, I also wanted to get a degree in metaphysics and came across the University of Metaphysical Sciences and started doing research and pursuing my degree. And that has been delayed a few years due to health reasons. And now I'm back at it. I am in the PhD program. I am studying Dr. Willhelm Reich and studying orgone and orgonite for my thesis, and am really enjoying doing the research and doing the work I'm doing and creating orgonite and testing it, and really having a lot of fun with it. And I'm looking forward to spreading the word about it through Rocky Mountain Metaphysics. We also have hand-dipped incense, and we have essential oils, fragrance oils, and other products. But it really started with a passion of mine, a reluctant metaphysical practitioner that I am. And every time I've tried to get away from metaphysics, life has brought me right back to it. And I realized that this is my calling, so here I am.
Yay! Well, and we're happy to have you. And if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about your background, because because you're Native American, and I'm always fascinated with that. And you've got a lot to tell about that too.
Yes, my life started out pretty hard. My biological father found me in 2008, and he told me my story, which explained a lot about my life. I have always been told as a child that I was part Native or part Indian. I remember hearing, you'll never amount to anything because you're Indian, you're tainted, things of that nature. Um, and so I started exploring in my young adulthood and started seeking out Native ceremonies, Native communities, from powwows and things to, different elders. I wanted to know who I was. I wanted to know about myself. And I ended up talking to some elders in Sault Ste. Marie and ended up at some ceremonies up there. I learned about offering tobacco. I learned about praying. I learned about the power of prayer. I've traveled the country. I've met other elders. They would see me and they would ask what tribe I was. They would ask what community I'm from. And I told them, I just want to listen. I just want to learn. And I have a beautiful, beautiful relative. His name is Long Soldier, and he teaches, and his instructions are to keep the teachings sacred, to not spread them around to people. And so I do that. I honor that. And I am very close with him. And he comes out to our San Luis Valley American Indian Center. He shares songs and ceremony there. And he's the spiritual advisor there. And so I work with him. I work with Grandmother Yellowfeather. And it's just an amazing, amazing sacred adventure. And I hold all those things very private, very sacred, and I honor the ways and I honor the people. And I've been to Standing Rock. I've been on the front lines with very, very beautiful relatives. Amazing dedication, amazing prayers. I've seen the miracle of prayer. I've seen the power of prayer. I've seen the miracle of ceremonies. And I ask anyone else who has the honor and is given the opportunity to be in these ceremonies, please keep them private, please keep them sacred, please respect the ways of the people, and do not take them out into the public and go out there and claim to be anything, and share these ceremonies. Please keep them private. Please honor the elders. Please respect the elders. And I appreciate you for asking. Thank you.
Oh, you are absolutely welcome. I've always been, I know you, I've told you this probably 1,000 times because we've known each other for so long. Um, as a kid, I was always told, you're part of, you have Cherokee in your background. And when I looked at my grandmother, you could kind of see it. Like she had that look of, she looked like she would have that. Did my 23andMe and I don't have any. So I'm kind of disappointed, but that's why I always have had a kind of a little bit of a fascination with people that are part of that. And I think it's such an interesting culture, and I thank you so much for sharing that.
You're welcome. My
Yeah.
biological father told me I looked just like my mother, only her skin was darker.
Yeah, well, and it's a great look. We'll just say that.
Thank you.
A beautiful look. Because honestly, I think that people should know more about this. I think there should be more of awareness about a lot of things that have gone on and so forth. So thank you for sharing
I agree.
that with me and our listeners. And then, so now the next thing, now the drum roll, we've got two things we want to talk about today. We want to talk a little bit about your land, the land that's behind you, and how you acquired it. And then the next thing is, you had mentioned it early in our conversation, Orgonite. I think that there are a lot of people that don't even know what that is. And I think people would be fascinated to learn about that.
Okay. Well, the story of the land is that I was seeking out a place that my family could call its own. I wanted a place for my children to play, a place that was safe, a place that was off the grid. The elders have been saying, what the prophecies are, and they've been saying that it's time that we situate ourselves in a way that we live in harmony with Mother Earth, with everything that's coming. And so I wanted to do that. And so I was sending up prayers and talking to the universe about a place to live, and it needed to have room for the family. It needed to be, I wanted at least 40 acres, and I wanted to be off the grid. Those were my main requirements. And I found, in about a year after starting this journey, I found a two or three sentence ad in the very back of a local newspaper. And it wasn't very descriptive, but the words "off the grid" were in the ad. So I called the number, and the owner told me about the property. We made arrangements to come out and see it. I had told her before seeing it, "I'll take it. I want it." And she said, "Well, you haven't seen it yet." So we came out to see it, and she was downplaying the house, and it had been open to wildlife for a couple of years and just open to the elements. And it had a well and a septic on it. And I told her, I don't care about all that. We can disinfect it. I want it. I'll take it. So I bought the property and we disinfected the house. We moved onto the property, and it has been a wonderful 10 years of beauty and peace
I
and
can't
living off
believe
the
it.
grid.
10
Yeah,
years.
it's labor intensive living off the grid, but every bit of it is worth it. My kids are very aware of all of the resources we use, how much water we go through, how much wood we use. They are very aware of the resources. They're very in touch with the land, and they're very in touch with the wildlife out here. It's absolutely gorgeous. And it's been a blessing. It's been a real blessing, and not everybody can handle living off the grid. So, people really need to do a lot of reading and a lot of research, because it's not cheaper. Your resources just go to different areas of life. Instead of buying propane all the time, you're putting money into something else.
Well,
So
and
it's not necessarily cheaper. People have the illusion that living off the grid is cheaper, but it's more rewarding. That most definitely is true. Living off the grid is far more rewarding.
well, and now you have a lot of inhabitants where you're living. You have 5 dogs, right? You have
Oh, we
5?
have 9. We have 9
Oh,
dogs.
9. Okay, so
9.
that's gone up a little bit. And then you've got your sons with you too.
Yep. I
Yeah.
have 5 beautiful, wonderful young men in my life, and they amaze me every day.
Yes, yes, they have been quite amazing. Living off the grid. I mean, all the things that they're doing. You have one son that's in college, so I think that's
Yes,
pretty amazing. And you're very proud of him. I know you're a proud mom.
absolutely. Absolutely.
And
Yep.
so
He
that's,
loves what he's doing in college.
yes, and but he does come back, right? I mean, he does
Yeah,
visit mom.
he does. He comes back in the summers. He might not be back this summer. He might be working over in the town the college is in, and enjoying every bit of it. He's just becoming such a fine young man. Really proud of him.
That's really awesome to hear, because you know that he's going to be giving some awesome things to the world, because he's an artist, correct? He's working
Yes,
on
he
those
is.
skills. Yeah. So
Yep.
that's yay for him. I think that's fantastic. So now that everybody knows the story of the land, and they know the story of Rocky Mountain Metaphysics, and they know the story of Crowfox, now I think they need to know the story of Orgonite.
Uh, Dr. Willhelm Reich in the 1950s discovered what he calls orgone, or the life force energy. It's the blue glow that exists around the mountains and the lakes and the moon. And he wanted to know if he could recreate it. And so he started doing research into it and looking into how to recreate that energy. Some people call it chi, ki. All kinds of different cultures have different words for it. But life is life. And he found that if he created layers of organic and inorganic material in a certain way, in what we now most people call resin or lucite, as that cures with those layers, it puts pressure, it compresses those layers, and those layers emit a piezoelectric effect, or life-giving energy effect. He was they attempted to discredit his work, but there is the Orgone lab in California that has recreated his research. There are a couple of legitimate Orgone research labs who have also, around the country, who have also recreated his research and have done so successfully. So we know that Orgone works. We know that it does what he says it does. A lot of people create Orgone in many, many different ways. But the most effective way I have found is following his instructions and creating it in layers. And the most effective one I have created, the most effective results were with copper, whether it's copper powder, copper wire, copper sheeting, and clear quartz crystals. And those layers seem to emit the best effect, at least in what I have found. I like that. That's my favorite. But I
Did
use
he
amethyst, and I use steel, I use brass,
Oh,
I've
beautiful.
experimented with all kinds of things.
Yep, you have beautiful, beautiful things on your site that
Thank
are
you.
the Orgone division of your site. And just a quick note about Dr. Reich. Didn't he have, isn't there something else out there too that he invented called the Reich machine, or there's a Reich, or am I thinking, I'm not thinking about the same person?
He invented all kinds of things. He invented a large box that cancer patients would sit in, and it would, over time, diminish signs of cancer, whether that was tumors or other things. And of course, the AMA, American Medical Association, attempted to discredit him. It was during the rise of all kinds of alternative medicines that
Gotcha.
the federal government was forming the American Medical Association and putting locks on doors for people who had holistic clinics of all kinds across the country, and not allowing them to do their practices. And several different kinds of facilities ended up moving to Mexico, where they were allowed to continue their practice. And so there are people who will travel to Mexico for alternative methods of healing, especially when they've reached a stage of cancer or other illnesses where our country doctors are telling them, you know, this is it, it's over. And so they will seek out other methods and travel to other countries if they can afford to. And the other thing he did is he invented the Cloudbuster. There's a technical term for it. I can't remember it offhand right now, but it looked like a huge copper cannon that he would carry around on the back of his truck. And it had tubes that would go down into flowing water, and it had to be flowing water. And he would aim it at the sky in a certain manner, either in front of a storm front or behind a storm front, depending on whether he wanted to create clouds or dissipate clouds and create rain. It was to help ending droughts and things like that, controlling weather for the purpose of drought control and things. And he was successful in that, but also found that in doing that, if you control weather in one area, you are affecting weather somewhere else in the world. So if you are making it rain in my backyard, for example, you might be creating drought conditions in another country, overseas or south of the border, or wherever. And he found that even though it had a positive effect in one spot, it will have the opposite effect somewhere else in the atmosphere. And so he warned about using such a tool and being very, very cautious in using such a tool. He also created Cloudbusters, which is a little different than the cannon. He created its copper rods, vertical in well, now we use 5-gallon buckets, but the mechanism he created and the way he created it, it would encourage proper cloud formation and rain. And he would only set them out, you know, certain times of year. There are wonderful books about Willhelm Reich for anybody that wants to know more. There's 2 books on his letters and journals that I have read. And there's some books from the Orgone lab in California that are all about Willhelm Reich's experiments and some of the history of how they tried to discredit him. So if anybody wants to know more, feel free to look it up. It's an absolutely fascinating study.
Yeah, he's kind of like along the lines of Tesla a little bit. Kind of
just like that. Yeah. Yeah. Tesla was another one, Nikola Tesla. And he discovered free energy, unlike the Tesla Corporation, where it's not free.
It's not free. No, it's not
no,
free.
they just named it after him because it's electricity, but it's not free. Nikola Tesla discovered and created technologies where using the electricity was free, and it was free power, free for everybody. In Colorado Springs is where he had his lab built, and he had a tower that was disassembled. The base is still there. It's fascinating to go see if you can get there to go see it. But yeah, all these people who were brilliant minds, brilliant creators, brilliant inventors, they found so many things that would benefit humanity, and it was all stripped from us by the powers that be. And if you can find a way to reclaim it, reclaim it.
Yeah, well, well, you're doing a little bit of that with Orgonite
Yeah.
and getting
Yes.
that out there. I mean, I think, and so at the Rocky Mountain Metaphysics site, there's a whole section on Orgonite, correct? I mean,
Yes, there is.
you've got Orgonite jewelry, you've got Orgonite, you have like a Orgonite, it's not a sword, it's, I know what you're.
They're little daggers or athames, is what they
Yes,
are, and you can use them
yes.
in ceremony to direct the Orgone energy where you want it to go.
And they're beautiful. I mean, the way that
Thank you.
you've structured them, and they're all unique. I mean, they're not like, if you buy one, you're never going to see that. You're never going to see that particular article like anywhere.
No, and that's the beauty of creating Orgonite and working with Orgonite, is you can never make the same thing twice, even if you try. It's going to look different every time.
Oh, and if you go out to the site, they're just beautiful pieces, really beautiful pieces. And I mean, you have some other really interesting products on there, like the foot powder.
Oh yes, the spiritual protection powder.
About that.
That is an old family recipe from my biological family, actually. And that is made by me. And sometimes I have help with grinding the ingredients, but every step there's a prayer that we say. And when those ingredients are combined, it becomes the spiritual protection powder. And you put just a little tiny pinch in each shoe if you feel vulnerable or feel like you just need that added extra protection for the day. And as you're walking around, you know, your feet have all of these energy points on them, and it protects those energy points. It protects your spirit as you're going about your day, and you can use it as often or as little as you want to. And I love it. I love it.
I ordered it. I love it too. And I think it's a wonderful, wonderful Christmas gift. Really.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, really, it helps you walk in grace, shall we say.
Yes. Walk in grace, walk in beauty. Yes.
And so now I have another metaphysical question to ask you about the house that you know, on the land, because you said, oh,
Yeah.
the house had been there for a while and, you know, it needed some work and so forth. Did you walk through it with sage?
Yes, we did. We did. First, we cleaned everything with bleach water just to disinfect, because there was, you know, rodent feces and wild animals had been in there, rabbits. You know, I don't know if deer were in there or anything like that, but the front and back door were wide open, and there's enough space for any wildlife to crawl through. Yeah, it was a real party house. And so we disinfected the whole thing, and after we disinfected it, we went through and wiped things down with sage water, and we smudged the place with cedar and with sage. We blessed the house. We thanked Creator for the house. We thanked the land for the house. We thanked everything for all the many blessings. We invited all of our spiritual relatives to the house and to the land. Lexi Long Soldier, Uncle Long Soldier, and Grandfather Russell Box both came. They are both elders. They blessed the land, and they blessed it also for ceremony. So if the people came out, this was a good place, a safe place for them to do ceremony. We still smudge. We smudge every morning. We offer tobacco every morning. We say our prayers every morning. We say our prayers every evening. We try to follow the teachings that we're taught. We try to follow what the elders have given us to do. And there's a lot of laughter in our home too, and laughter is good medicine. Laughter brings happiness. And sometimes we swear we see ancestors walk the land in the full moon at night. We see animals on the land every now and then that we wouldn't expect to see. We've had a mountain lion come out and visit the land. We've had elk visit the land. We've had deer visit the land. We get coyotes. Nope, we haven't had bears yet.
No bears yet?
They tend to stick to the mountains.
Oh, gotcha.
And yeah. And we have a lot of wild hares out here that just don't care. Once you get past the dogs and you're walking the land, you know, they'll be grazing on the land, and as you walk by them, they just don't care that you're there. They know we're not a threat to them. It's absolutely amazing.
Well,
And so we have all of these animal relations, and we have eagles fly over, we have hawks fly over. It's just a wonderful, wonderful, beautiful place.
well, and so can we sort of leak the future that's coming? There's going to be a workshop coming,
There
probably
is.
the next couple years, maybe.
Well, our goal is in 2024 to have a workshop set up where we can get all the products and all of the equipment out of my house and into the workshop. So we'll have like a home base, so to speak. We have a lot of shows coming up this year. We're going back to the Durango Whole Expo. We're going back to the Pueblo Holistic Fair in April, and we'll be back again next November to the Holistic Fair. And there's a couple other ones that we will be going to. We list those across the top of our website so people know where they can find us if they want to find a physical shop, so to speak. They can find us at these different shows. And 2025, we're hoping to open a storefront, a brick and mortar storefront, where we can have customers come in at their leisure and actually touch and see and browse what we have to offer. And we make things based upon requests. Also, we've had a lot of requests for wearable orgonite. So we made a bunch of orgonite charms. Well, I made a bunch of orgonite charms, pendants that you can put on a chain or string and wear around your neck. I'm working on some orgonite earrings for pierce earrings. I can make clip earrings also. There's just a lot of what we do. We base on suggestions. We've had requests for lavender essential oil, so we're going to be providing that. The show last weekend in Pueblo, we've had a lot of requests for frankincense essential oil, myrrh essential oil, and a blend of both. So we'll be working on that as well.
Excellent, excellent. Well, there's going to be a lot coming from Rocky Mountain Metaphysics and Crowfox, and we will be having her on again, probably multiple times, to talk about the different metaphysical principles and so forth that the store does feature and carry. And gosh, it's been such a wonderful, wonderful experience to have you on the show today. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to future conversations.
Yeah, and well, so before we go, if you could share your website address and any way that people might be able to get a hold of you.
Okay, well, the website is rockymountainmetaphysics.com. Real easy. And our email is information@Rocky Mountain Metaphysics. And the cell phone, and I do have a day job, so anybody who wants to get a hold of me, please leave a voicemail or text. Either way, it's 719-588-3390.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today, Crowfox. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me, Anne.